We're kicking off season 2 of your favorite end of the week party. Soul Care Live is coming to you with a new look, a new name, and a whole new attitude. Subscribe while you're here and share, share, share. Tell a friend that Soul Care for Single Black Women is live.
Soul Care for Single Black Women. Soul Care, Soul Care, Soul Care for Single Black Women. Soul Care Live.
How y'all doing today? It is that time already. We're a little bit behind, but girl, that's all right. Welcome to Soul Care Live. I am your host, Tracy, ready in a hotel room, child, but more about that later. Oh, husband, you all up in the screen, child. You in the screen. I got you out. Anyway, y'all, I'm so excited to come today and talk to y'all and with our guest today. She posted some things here recently, y'all, that really inspired, actually added to an idea I was already having. I'm like, okay, she's got to come on and talk about her experience, because if anybody has experienced love after heartbreak, disappointment, all kind of relationship trauma, this girl has, and she is living it and loving it, and it's just amazing. So first thing I want to tell y'all about is that she's a ready woman, honey. Meaning that she did complete the my soul detox program. So when you complete soul detox program or the dating masterclass, you become a ready woman, and you receive a whole t-shirt and everything, and we just have our own little community of just ladies who have gone through that process of dealing with their relationship trauma and moving forward. So it's kind of hard sometimes when you're not around like-minded people. You don't have a place where you can say, oh, y'all, you remember we talked about da 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 da, I'm struggling with so and so, so and so. You can go to a certain set of friends and they'd be like, what? Or you can come to this Ready Woman group and you can post what you need to post, and everybody give you good feedback because everybody's coming from that same healthy space. So with that being said, I want to not delay any further, not delay bringing her up. So, child, let me find. So she is a photographer. She is the owner, operator, founder of Jessica Cole Photography in the Tallahassee area. So if y'all looking for she's amazing. Wonderful photographer to tell your story. When I used to do photography, yeah, girl, I got photography in my background too. But when I used to do photography, that was one thing I loved to do, was kind of story tell through the pictures. And that is something that I know she loves doing. I think she loves taking pictures of families. She'll tell y'all more about that in just a second. She's a Florida native who enjoys true crime podcasts, napping with her pups, creamy pasta, and understanding the hand experience. I don't know what that is. When I read that, I'm like, she gonna tell me what that is. So without any further ado, let's bring Corey to the stage. Hi, Corey.
Hi, Tracy.
So glad to have you here.
I am happy to be here. I want to make a slight edit. I don't know, when I was writing my bio, I guess human did it across.
Is that what you mean?
Understanding the human experience. I don't know what hand experience is either, unless we're talking about maybe like Han Solo. So I don't know. And I'm not a Star Wars fan, so I don't know. But yeah, so that's what I meant to say.
Girl,
human experience.
I was like, what is the hand? I cannot wait to hear what the hand experience is. And you're like, I can't either. Wow, that is hilarious. Okay. So I'm thrilled to have you here. We've talked obviously many times before, but I want to give people a little context about this whole thing. Corey and I, when did we meet?
Oh gosh, it's been some years. I feel like I think I started following you back in 2019,
Mm-hmm.
like early 2019. Because I have a friend, another photographer friend, who has used your services, and has gone through the dating masterclass. And I just remember her posting about you all the time, and I kept thinking to myself, well, if she can find love or figure out like her love life, then I want to figure out mine too. And so I just remember following you and thinking everything you had to say was like so real. Like it hit me, like every time I read it, I'm like, oh, that's me. Oh, that's me. And I remember commenting on all your stuff and saying,
Yes.
like, Tracy, one day I'ma have it. I'm come up with the money to be able to take your course. I'ma do it, Tracy, because I believe in what you have to say. And yeah, I think that was when. I think it was like 2019.
So that was about 19. That's what I was trying to think, like how long ago it was. So yeah, she kept popping up and commenting. I was like, who is this? Like, like I feel like I should know her, you know. And then finally we launched the Soul Detox, and I was looking for a group of ladies to kind of test run it with. And she enrolled. And she was like, oh my God, this is it. This is my chance. So she got in, y'all. And when I tell you, she did that program with excellence. That's not meaning, that doesn't mean like without any challenges. She had challenges along the way. There were times she wanted to give up, et cetera, but she kept going. Tell them a little bit about your love life prior to, like, leading up to this point where you like, okay, I need to get help about this.
So I had just been in a series of what I now know to be traumatic relationships, right? So these were like emotionally like exhausting, emotionally abusive at some points, type relationships. They were unsatisfying, unfulfilling, all those different things you think about when you think about relationships, all the drama that came with it and everything. And I had gotten to a point to where I felt like that was my lot in life, that these were the men that I was destined to be with, and I just needed to find the least worst out of the worst ones, right? Like that was kind of what I had in my head. I was like, I'm not good enough to find any like a high caliber man. Like I just need to find like the least worst of the worst. And I finally just got tired of being sick and tired. And so then it was almost as if like, because of course, like, you know, like God is like really like heavy in my life. Like it was almost as if like God like sent Soul Detox like right at the moment I said, I'm done. Like I just give up. And it was like, you know, manna from heaven. It was like, you want to join this Soul Detox? And I'm like, yes. Sign and yeah, that's where I was. And I am so excited to have gone through that process because my whole life has changed. Absolutely. And if you see my pups in the video, it's because they are very needy, and that
Did you say they're needy?
They are very needy, especially the big one. She is needy. So yeah.
They're fine. We don't mind fur babies or real babies or, you know, all the babies. So okay, so as we jump into our conversation, I just want them to know from whence you came. She came from a very, like she said, now she knows to be trauma filled relationship dating background to the point where she said, I'm just going to have to, you know, make the best of it. And this is obviously who I'm destined to be with. And I think so many ladies get to that point because they're and then they say either one or two things. Okay, I'll just settle for something terrible, or I'm not doing this. I'm not gonna be with anybody. I'm just gonna check out of dating. And that's what I think a lot of women do. I've seen it so many times that ladies are just like, I'm not doing this. I'm not getting into this. I'm not being a part of this. Okay, what is the thing? Because had you gotten to that point at any point where you said, or were you totally just like, I'm gonna have to pick from the worst of the worst, or did you ever have a point where you're like, I'm done with this? I'm not cut out to be in a relationship?
I don't think I made it. I was super close. Don't get me wrong. I was super close to that point. At the point that I found you, I just had gotten to the point to where I felt like I was destined for the guys that I kept finding, and having to just choose the best out of the worst, right? And so that's where I was.
Wow. Okay. So ladies, take note. You can get from point A to B if you will do the work. If you will just do the work. So one of the things that she posted, and I've been seeing going around the internet for a while now, and that is nobody talks about the most traumatic relationship, your relationship after your most traumatic relationship. Tell us, if you don't mind, just dibble in a little bit about some of the major traumas that you faced in your last relationship.
Infidelity was a big one. Major infidelity. And serial infidelity. Like I said, the emotional abusiveness, gaslighting. What else? Those are some of the big ones. A disregard just for my feelings in general. Basically like just lowered self-esteem. And just really being told often that like I was not going to get any better than him. That was going to be it for me, essentially. So
wow, it's like that is so amazing, because we see these things all the time. We see people all up and down timelines in our little groups when we're chatting on and offline, when people saying all this stuff, and they really get to the point of giving up. They get to the point of giving up. What? Like you said, God just kind of rained down on you. It was like, okay, no, I'm not going to let you give up. I'm not going to let you give up. I'm not going to let you quit. So in contrast to that, well, not necessarily, because I don't want to go all the way there. I don't want to give them the happily ever after just yet. I want you to talk about the process, because it takes a lot of courage to even, because to sign up for something like the Soul Detox, you're essentially saying, I believe there is something better. Yes. I don't know it. I haven't experienced it. I haven't seen it, but I believe there's something maybe better. What made you even just have a glimmer of hope that there may be something better?
I think I remember reading something you had like posted about how you didn't have to be in that space where you were. Like that wasn't the end for you, or it was something along those lines. And like I said, I had been watching, my friend that took your course, like I had been watching her and her progress through it. And I had just said that, I'm so sorry. I got a call. My whole father out here. Of course he would call.
Of course.
So, and he never calls, not during this time, but anyway. But no, I had read something like that, and I had been watching her and like her progress and the things that she was revealing, and kind of her journaling and things like that. And I was like, dang, like this could be me too. And plus, like right before I had started the Soul Detox, I had started my own personal therapy journey. Where I had been told that the things I was experiencing and the emotions I was experiencing had a lot to do with my PTSD diagnosis that I had. And so I was like, this can't be it. Like this can't be, like, again, because God is so heavy in my life, like God absolutely wants greater for me. So like, why would he want greater for me in like the relationship space as well? So it was at that point where I was like, you know what, Corey, either you're going to sit here and you're going to continue to try to do this on your own, as if you learned how to date, because you didn't. No one taught you how to date. No one taught you how to choose men. No one taught you what emotional awareness was. Or you can go to somebody who has a track record of this and who can help you, and somebody who looks like you. So let's just be clear. That also was a huge factor too. So it was at that moment that I said, you know what? I'm willing to put my trust and my faith in this process. And if even at the end of it, I get one thing, it was money well spent. But obviously, as you know, because you know the ending, I got way more than just one thing.
Did she? She got so much. She got so much, y'all. She got so much. We get to that in a second. Okay, so you had to kind of just step out on faith, because you have no idea how many ladies I literally talk to often, like every day almost, and it's like their attitude is, I just don't feel like I need nobody to teach me how to date. I feel foolish thinking I'm this many years old and I don't know what I'm doing. If nobody never told you, then there's a possibility. And this is not really to promote the Soul Detox. It's really not. But it just so happened this was a part of your story. So, that's just to be clear, y'all. We ain't just trying. This ain't no promo ad or nothing like that. This is really just to to tell her story. And so how did you see yourself transforming throughout the process? What are some of the like takeaways or key moments or some of the things that started to happen as you started to shift from Corey that was hurt and lacked hope and just thought I ain't gonna but became this Corey that we see today? What were some of those key markers along the way?
It's so funny that you asked that because I literally was looking through my journal.
Okay. Because they are required to keep a journal while they're in the program, keeping up with all the activities and things they do. So
and it's crazy because I just started noticing key pieces in there where I saw like my biggest change. And, a few of the takeaways was that I am not the sum of everything that has happened before me. I'm the sum of so much more. I am not the sum of all the failed relationships I've had. I'm not the sum of failed like family relationships. I'm not the sum of not knowing any better. I'm more than that. So that was one of the key takeaways that I got. The other key takeaway was realizing that I am absolutely worth everything I think I'm worth. And sticking to my guns in that. Like I do not have to negotiate my bottom line at all.
Yeah.
And having that awareness made it so much easier to get out into the world and to be able to go and date in a healthy way. Because when you aren't at a desperate place anymore, and that was the other big takeaway, is that I don't have to be desperate for anybody. I don't have to be desperate for anybody. Because once you have the awareness of yourself and what you're worth and what you are willing to take, then it makes it so much easier to say no. And it makes it so much easier to date in a very healthy and like fun way, right? And then the other like last big takeaway is that I am allowed space to heal, and I'm allowed space to figure out what is needed for me to heal, whether that is delving into my past, whether that's figuring out what's happening now. I am worth that space, and I am worth going into that space without feeling dumb, quote unquote, or feeling stupid. Because again, like when you grow up, you think, well, why should somebody teach me how to date? You learn everything else. You learn how to take shoes. You learn how to do math. Why can't you learn how to date? So just knowing that I had space to be able to do that was like really awesome. So
that is so good. I think we're very hard on ourselves, especially as Black women, that we should just have it figured out. We should know. I should be able to Google something. I should be able to piece some information together from this group of people and that group of people and this coach over here and that counselor over here and you kind of go piecing some stuff together and you still find yourself at the same spot. And so, because I hear a lot of people, they're like, I'm worth it. So you got the I'm worth it part, but now what do you do after that?
Yes.
And they don't always choose the right thing to do to move forward if they do want a relationship. Go ahead.
Exactly. And another thing too that I was just thinking about, like when you said that, was that you absolutely, and I mean, it does the biggest thing about this, and again, like we are not, I honestly want to say the same thing you said. This is not a promo for Soul Detox. This is just a part of my journey, but it was so good. Is that you absolutely have to delve into every part of who you are to figure out how you came to be.
Ooh.
And it doesn't matter if it had anything to do with romantic relationships, familiar relationships, or platonic relationships. If I learned one thing, it was that it was a combination of all three of those that turned me into the person I was, that helped me or hindered me into making the decisions I did.
Yeah.
So knowing who you are and knowing where you come from, all the way from childhood, is imperative to figuring out how you're going to be your best self going forward and your healthiest self to be able to date in a healthy space. So that too.
And that's what I'm saying. People, they get bits and pieces of it. They might say, oh, I'm gonna go to the therapist, or I'm gonna go wherever, and I'm gonna deal with my childhood. Okay, great. But now what? Or they might say, I'm gonna, you know what? I'm just gonna date different. I'm on multi-date, the new thing that's out right now. Everybody gonna multi-date. Okay, but have you done the work before? Or they're gonna say, you know what? I'm not gonna do what I used to do. I'm just gonna do something else. But what you gonna do? So it's like they miss out the three pieces. Well, we know it's three pieces, but three modules. But you miss the three pieces, and you don't do it all comprehensively. And then you're wondering, then you get discouraged, and you're like, this stuff don't work. Men still suck. dating is horrible. The dating pool got pee and all that stuff. And I'm like, while it may, you add to the pee if you don't do all your part.
Hello.
Okay.
And not all parts of the pool got pee in it.
Not all parts of the pool got pee, baby.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that is absolutely. I'm so glad you mentioned that. So glad you mentioned that. That it's really a process.
Yes.
You cannot skip a step and think you're gonna get the same result. You can't just make up your mind. I'm going to do. You know what? I know Tracy mentioned something about that multi-dating stuff. You can do that, but if you ain't done the work, you're still gonna be dating all the clowns. And they're gonna be frustrating you. They're gonna be disappointing you. You're gonna be dating from that desperation space, or from just from lack rather than from abundance. You know. And so you did all that. You had this background. You explored all that. You got it all together. And y'all know she said she had a therapist too. So she was going through this program and doing therapy, traditional therapy. There is a difference in the two experiences, but they marry together very well. So just because you have a therapist, I mean, you can't do it. So then she did all this work, and then we get to the end of the process. And we do what we call this. We do what we call the dating experiment, right? Mm-hmm. Where the ladies go out on multiple dates. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And tell us about that experience, Corey. Just the experience overall, first of all. Tell us about that.
First of all, it's scary as heck. I did not want to get to that part at all, because I'm like, okay, yeah. Like, I've been in a little kiddie pool. And little kiddie pool. I can doggy paddle in the kiddie pool.
Right.
And now you trying to throw me out to the big people pool. And I wasn't trying to do that. And so it was very scary, but it was very rewarding. Mm-hmm. Because again, you don't realize how much the process changes you until you have to put the process into motion.
That's it.
Into effect. So going on these multi-dates, right? It was really amazing, all the things that I had learned throughout the process, that I was able to be like, nah, that's not somebody I really want to deal with going forward. And being able to say that, because again, you're not coming from a place of desperation. You're coming from a place of abundance. You're coming from a place of knowledge. You now know what you didn't know. And so it was scary, but it was very rewarding overall. And it was very insightful to kind of see just the various personalities that are out there. For sure.
So when you ran across, and that's not to say every guy, it's not some magic potion where you suddenly get rid of all the bad guys. It's when you encounter them, you don't feel that pressure, like, well, is this all it really is? Maybe I need to try to make the most of this. Because he don't seem as bad as the others. So maybe you can encounter those guys, enjoy the experience, and keep it moving. Corey had some stories, y'all. She had a bunch of stories of people that you had. One guy that drove. I remember that came and drove and left when he pulled up, saw you and left or something.
Yes, he may have asked me for some recreational, usage things, money. And when I would not give him said money, he drove past me at our designated meeting spot. I also had a guy who swore up and down with me that the earth was flat, and that there was no way I could prove that it was round. Literally. This is also the same person who told me that the government planted dinosaur bones, but we won't talk about that. But yes, it was an array of personalities and men out here.
She even met a guy that was super older, and it wasn't oh my gosh, is this what I have to do? It was let me just enjoy this experience. Yeah. And then she moved on.
He was nice. He may have been my mama age. But he was nice. Mm-hmm. And he had, nice conversation. And he was very interesting to talk to. He was really into jazz music. He actually played the saxophone. That was very interesting to learn about him. So yeah.
And I just see, and the reason I'm having you bring up these dates that you didn't stay with is because I see so many ladies in groups. I'm strategically in groups to hear what single ladies are talking about. And one of the things that they consistently, hey, and y'all, let me just address the audience. I never did. Hey, if you're here, leave a message in the comments so I know you're here. Say hello. If you got any questions about anything or just any comments, feel free to share that in the comment area. But I wanted you to bring up these dates that didn't work out because I see so many ladies. Oh, I went on this date and he said this, he did this, he acted this way, he didn't say this, and they've been some stuff is like, oh yeah, I can see, oh that's annoying. Some stuff would be really small and minor, but that's your triggers that you ain't dealt with. That's getting tap danced on, and you don't know how to just enjoy yourself outside of that because it's such a big irritant to you because you haven't dealt with the source of it. And so I wanted her to bring up these dates because I'm sure in the past that she gone out, say with the guy that came and left, she probably been crying for 3 days, wondering what was wrong with her.
Yeah.
Talk to us.
No, I'm serious. It's actually funny that you say that. And as you can see, my baby Milo has
That's fine.
But no, so it's crazy because one of the dates, who was a good prospect at the time, he was a single father. And one of the characteristics of my ex, he was a father. And automatically just kind of the stories he started saying just kind of took me back to that place. Had I not already dealt with that, I would have absolutely, what it would have boiled down to was my sympathy trigger. I would be like, oh, you're so good. You're such a great man for like wanting to do this for your kids. And oh yeah, like your kid's mother's crazy. And oh my God,
right.
When can I meet your kids? Like, I'd love to help you with them. Had I not figured that out, had I not handled that, I absolutely would have missed all the other red flags that he had.
Right. Because you'd have been so focused on doing the thing that you have done in the past that got you in trouble.
Absolutely. And so because I had already dealt with my past, I was like, we're going to look past this and we're going to look at all these red flags that you already said outside of this whole sob story that you got right now. So guess what? This is going to be our first and last day, sir. Thank you so much for the meal. I appreciate you. Have a great night. Get home safe. Put on your seatbelt. Okay. And I mean, that was it. That was it. That was it. And I can't say, and I can absolutely say beyond a shadow of a doubt, I am so thankful for that experience because in my past, I thought that I had to say yes to whoever gave me attention because I thought that was the only thing for me. Knowing now what I know, saying no is the most powerful thing you can do.
Say it again.
Saying no is the most powerful thing you can do when you have the knowledge to say no. When you have the knowledge of self and when you have the knowledge of what you're worth, saying no is super easy every single time. Every single time.
Every time. And it gets easier and it builds your confidence because you're like, I don't have to settle for that. And I keep going.
Yes. And I think it's also good to say this because you made this very clear throughout the whole process. Saying no does not make you an evil person. Saying no is not a bad thing. Saying no is not offensive. It just means we are not here and that's okay. I can say no. You can say no. Even if I had liked one of these guys, but they had told me no, guess what? I respect that.
It's a no.
It's a no.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with you saying no.
And I think a lot of times ladies meet like these really great guys sometimes, because that was the next place I was going with this. I want you to talk about some of the great guys you actually met. Not the greatest, but the great guys, because she also met some pretty decent men and still said, what? No.
Exactly. So it was a couple guys that checked off kind of almost all the boxes. Obviously not all the boxes.
Right.
But we'll get
there. But
there.
she had some great times while she was dating. The point I'm trying to drive home is that dating don't have to be this dreaded, horrible experience where you like, oh, let me try to wait around the pee. No, you can enjoy the experience altogether. If you have like she said, if you've done that work in the past and you really have that sense of self. And don't confuse sense of self with attitude, with cockiness, with arrogance. That's not what we're talking about. This is not what we're talking about. And I think so many women think that once they do finally get over that real traumatic experience and they get they stop the tears and they stop, some of the habits that they were doing. Now they feel like I'm just going to act a nut out here. No, they don't give you license to act crazy.
And that's nothing but a product of your trauma. that
you have not yet handled. Right.
So basically what you're doing in coming from that traumatic relationship, and trust me, I know, I've been there, I was you. What you do is you put up this wall, and that wall can be, you ain't gonna talk to me no type of way. I'm not gonna text you first. You text me first, and
I deserve better.
Exactly. Like, you put up this wall, or you say, "Oh, well, I'm not out here to just be with one person," or whatever. Like, you're like, I'm not gonna commit myself because why should I? Ain't nobody out here for me. All this different stuff. That is nothing but a product of your trauma. If you desire to be in a committed relationship, you are worth being in a committed relationship, and you are worth healing the trauma so that you are able to be in a committed relationship, right? It is not, you don't have to stay in that place. And like, Lord, like, my heart, I don't know why I'm getting so emotional about this, because I literally was having a conversation the other night with someone I deeply care about now, about how I never thought I would be in this place from where I came from. Because trauma had such a tight hold on my life. I remember there were some nights I would just like cry for no reason, just cry and just think to myself, how did I get here? How did I get to this place to where every time I turned around, I felt so broken? I didn't feel comfortable in my body. I didn't have the self-esteem I have now because I allowed somebody for years to sit there and tell me everything about myself. That was the beauty of this process, was that now I was telling me who I was.
Yes.
I was allowing somebody else to tell me who I was. Yes. And so being able to heal from that was just phenomenal. And I'm not saying that I don't have days. I'm not saying that there aren't things that I still have to go through, because that's part of what kind of this show is about, right? Getting into that relationship after a traumatic experience. Yes. There's some things you can heal by yourself, and you'll think to yourself, oh my gosh, I'm doing so great.
It's over, right?
Then you get into a relationship, child.
But the difference is now you have tools. Now you know, okay, wait a minute. Me and my husband just talked about this earlier, and how people need to be able, when they are when their triggers are like triggered, it's not an indication for you to start fussing at the world about, y'all need to quit triggering me. No, you need to go within and say, okay, how can I handle this differently? How can I manage this differently? What do I already know, so that when I know, I can know kind of beforehand what situation might bring this up. Or even when you're in a relationship, being able to articulate to somebody, okay, listen, I'm going through a thing. We were talking earlier about, it was who was I talking to? I was talking to one of your Ready Women sisters yesterday, girl. And she was telling me how she met a guy who he had been divorced and his wife had cheated on him. And they had a conversation via text message. He had texted her and she replied and told him, hey, I'm very, she was, very, very busy. She's like, I need to, I'm not able to talk tonight. I got to go to sleep. I got a busy day ahead. I had a busy day behind me. I got to go to sleep. He replied, oh, so you think I'm stupid? Oh, so you think I was born yesterday?
Trauma.
Okay. And so, okay, granted, that's a problem. That's, first of all, that he jumped to that instead of asking questions or whatever. But here's the thing that was interesting. I'm like, it's okay that he still needs to heal from that trauma. But what a good dealing with it would look like is him going into the situation and say, okay, I'm still recovering from the trauma that I had in the past. If it's at all possible, could we maybe set up a time that we could talk so that I can know when to expect you and when not to? Because when you suddenly say you're unavailable, it triggers something in me. And so if I ever go into this, like saying something crazy or drawing crazy conclusions, then maybe I've been triggered. So I want to come to the table and bring that. You can't know that about yourself if you don't do that exploration. In your mind, you are so convinced that what you think is the fact. Yep. And it very well not be. And now she's like, I don't want to talk to him because I don't want to get accused of lying all the time. And so it's not that you have trauma. There's nothing wrong with you having trauma. It's if you don't handle that trauma, that means you don't have the self-awareness to articulate that trauma and tell people how we going to engage so that I'm not triggered, or you can get rid of it altogether. So that girl say something, girl.
No, and it's so crazy because in this part of my life, one of the things that I am currently working through is triggers and traumas that come up, right now, right? And I'm still seeing my personal therapist. And one of the things she talks about that I really thoroughly enjoy and really love doing the research on is that she talks about how when you're in a traumatic experience for a while, the synapses in your brain change. So the way you respond to things change. And she said it takes just as much effort for good things to happen in order for you to change those synapses in your brain.
Come on.
And so for me, having the self-awareness to know what my triggers are, and also the self-awareness of when something good is happening that triggered me, I'm able to now say, okay, this is what I need for the synapses in my brain to change. So in that scenario, like, instead of saying, well, you think I'm stupid, you think I was born yesterday, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
He would have had the self-awareness to say, you know what, this is a trigger of mine. But every other time we've spoken, we've always spoken. Anytime I've ever wanted to talk to her, I've been able to talk to her. Correct. So then in that point, I'd be like, okay, there's a level of trust here. Maybe she is busy. Maybe she is really tired. And so like having the awareness to go into yourself sometimes, not even having to articulate it to the other person, because sometimes
to tell yourself before I send a crazy text message, let me think. Hold on a minute.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's so good. Yeah. And so, when we saying help yourself and do all this work, it's not just to get the man or to get the girl or to get whatever. It is so that you can raise your self-awareness, raise your emotional intelligence, and just be an overall healthier person, so that when you do engage with somebody else, you can literally engage with them and not be accusing and they're bringing up stuff from the past that you didn't even know was there. So all that said, she encountered some guys that were like, iffy or whatever. She encountered guys that were great. And then I remember one cool fall night where we got into the group and I was on Facebook. I was on the Facebook, y'all, and it said, Corey is live in the Ready Woman group. I said, well, look at that. Let's see what she's doing. And she said, y'all, have y'all ever been out with somebody? Go ahead, finish the story, honey.
So first of all, let's just talk about, like, real quick, that Tracy has set up a very great program. And there are rules and there are steps to follow because she knows what works. Do not follow me because I was a rule breaker. Okay. I actually went on a date with this man twice when I was not supposed to, because now we're here. Basically, as a part of the program, we talk about the dates we've gone on when we're in the dating experiment. And I just remember the first video I had, I was telling all the women that I was super nervous. He seemed really cool though from our chats, and he was this fireman, and I was like, okay, like this should be fun. And, and I'm like, but I'm really nervous. Like, I tried to pick out a nice outfit, all this stuff, did my makeup, everything. 3 hours later, I get into the Ready Woman group, and I'm like, have you just met somebody that you think you're just supposed to be with forever? Because I think I just met somebody I'm supposed to be with forever. Like, I mean, that's just how I felt.
No, it was so funny. She was like, yo, wait a minute. I wish I could have that video queued up. I would play it right now because it was hilarious.
It was definitely one of the things that whenever we were in the group, because I remember you always talking about, like, you're gonna meet good guys. You're gonna meet good guys. And you're gonna meet some guys who check off almost all the boxes. And they're going to seem real good, but they're not going to be it. It's not going to be it. And I just remember thinking to myself going into it, like, okay, I'm not looking for the it guy. Like, I'm just out here, I'm dating, like, I'm trying to get myself back, all different stuff. And at the time, people were checking off boxes, but they weren't checking off all the boxes. And I just remember going on this date and thinking to myself, this is the person who checks off all the boxes. And I'm literally seeing stars and puppies and arrow hearts and all this stuff. And I just remember literally hanging on to every single word he said. And I'm just like, this is it. I don't care what Tracy says. I don't know.
Look, she literally told her dad, was like, Daddy, I think I met
my future husband. I swear to God. Swear to God. Yes.
I remember all the details. And so, okay, and so you met him, and they are so cute. They are just the cutest little thing. Y'all just, if you can, follow Corey, because she's constantly updating, constantly posting about them. And he is too. Like, I see her pop up in his posts all the time. So he's this amazing guy who is treating her the way she has always deserved to be treated. One of the things she said to me shortly after she met him, and I use it now when I talk to clients, I literally show them the screenshot of her where she inboxed me and she's like, had I not done this, I would have taken all that trauma into this relationship, and it would have, I wouldn't have probably even met or been with this great guy, So tell us about some of that trauma. Like the whole purpose of this conversation is to talk about how your best relationship after your worst one. Speak to that, and how somehow you've had to deal with you in lieu of this dude ain't none of the guys from the past. Like, how has that played out in real time?
So, like I said before, it's a lot of things you can fix while you're single, right?
Yes.
A lot of traumas you can deal with that you can do while you're single. And then you get into a relationship and you like, oh crap,
it's here.
What is this? And why am I here?
Right.
That sort of thing. So, first of all, just speaking to him, he has the patience of Job. And he loves me with a love that I don't fully understand. And I don't think I'm supposed to, and that's okay. And I'm just so thankful that he understands that there are things that I'm working through. And I think that he knows that it's okay because he knows I'm working through them.
Right.
And so that's the beauty of it. He always tells me, he's like, it's okay because I know you're working through it and it's fine. So I'm just truly thankful for him. So a couple things that kind of I've had to work through is projection, right? Because again, sometimes in the heat of the moment, in all of those like really heavy emotions that come popping back up, you can easily project onto people you care about and you don't even know that you're doing it. It's almost easier to project on people we love than it is on people that we really can't stand, right?
Absolutely.
And so
you feel safe to do that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so working on projecting some of those traumatic emotions. So I just remember in the beginning of our relationship, we now dub it the panic text phase of our relationship. So I literally used to send like paragraph long text messages about the ways he would be annoyed with me one day and how I had all these like character flaws and like apologizing in advance for stuff and like letting him know that I'm really trying and, all this different stuff. And I remember one night he called me after one of those texts and he was like, you don't have to give me a recipe book on how to deal with you.
Oh,
He was like, that's the fun of dating. He's like, let me figure you out and let me figure that out on my own. So I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, this is so interesting. And it took me in that moment to realize the reason I was doing that was because in the past, I was always having to apologize just for who I was. I was having to apologize for my existence, essentially.
So you got back into a relationship and you thought, oh, that's gone. I handled that. And it showed right back up.
Yep. Because you get this automatic, well, I won't say everyone, so I can't speak for everyone. For me, there was this automatic fear that like I had things that were wrong with me, that were inherently wrong with me, that I need to go ahead and apologize for, that I need to go ahead and say that I'm sorry for this. I'm sorry that I'm loud. I'm sorry that like, sometimes I go through these things and I have anxiety and I'm really sorry about it. I'm seeing a therapist. I don't always cook and sometimes I eat out like twice a day. I mean, I'm sorry. And to have someone sit there and look at you and be like, you don't have to tell me how to deal with you. He was like, And all the things you're saying are not problems. These are not problems in you. And
girl, we will do that. We will do that.
I was just like, oh my God.
And when I said we, I want to say people, not women. People will do that. People will do that.
Yeah. Absolutely. So projecting. Another thing was, I'd say, like, manipulation. So manipulation was a tactic in my last relationship. It was very
trying to get what you need. Yeah,
exactly. And realizing that this is a whole grown man out here. He wants to talk about things, and
he wanted to. Right.
So I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna text him because I need him to know that I'm upset.
When you could just say,
"No, I'm upset," because I won't talk to him.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I want to say something about that projection thing. So you're not out there by yourself, and ladies, whoever's watching, gentlemen, whoever, non-binaries, you're not here by yourself. I had the same thing. Yes. Your coach here, your counselor. Yes, I had the same thing. Recently, my husband and I had a situation, and I believe I can't remember what was it. It was something about he was needing just some time, just decompress or whatever. And I was like, "Do you not like me anymore? We in whole marriage, y'all?" And I'm like, "Do you not like me anymore? Are you going somewhere? Do you just want to be? Are you happy?" And he was like, "Dude, when I say I just need a moment, I meant like I'm gonna go sit over here and you go sit over there, or I'm gonna stay in the car for a few minutes and I'm gonna come in like for a few minutes."
Or watch a show.
Or I'm gonna watch a show. I'm gonna watch a movie or something. You just go and you go do your thing. Like, and I'm freaking out because, like Roy said, in the past, I had to be on my P's and Q's and like really, are you here? Are you with me? Are we together? And he's like, I don't need like to be away from you like that. Like, I'm not trying to get a break from you. A break for me is like sit over here watching the movie. Not I'm gonna take a trip somewhere by myself. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like, do you not love
he's
me?
Never done anything to make me think otherwise. You know what I'm saying? It was just like out of nowhere. Like,
exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Like, too good to be true. It's got to be something. Yeah.
Been there. But yeah, so that projection, like I said, the manipulation, and it was really big, and he was just like, you can vocalize like what you need and what you want.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, okay. Are you sure? You positive?
You want to know? You want to know?
So then I go back into the whole like needy, not needy, but I go back into the whole, well, that's a character flaw. Am I being needy? Do you want me to stop? I don't want to ask too much. Like, are you sure? Like, all this different stuff. So that, trust, trusting and being vulnerable, were two big things, because in the past, my vulnerability was used against me. And it was used in a way to say that, I was weak, or I was crazy, or I was just an emotional female, all this different stuff. And so I tell people this all the time that, for the longest time, I only gave people a level of transparency that they thought was transparent. What they were seeing was literally only like the shell of who I was, but I made it just deep enough to where you thought you were getting something.
Yeah.
And so it took a while to get to a level of vulnerability and a level of trust with him to where I knew he wasn't going to use that against me. And I mean, that was major, because he didn't deserve that, because he came in with a clean slate, right? Like he didn't do anything. And so, but having that and knowing that he was willing to work on that and work on that trust was absolutely amazing. Like, and obviously now I tell him all the time, I'm like, I trust you with my life. And he's like, okay. Even though he says if we're ever out somewhere and he's off duty, he always tells people he works at the bank that he ain't gonna save nobody life, because he always saves people's lives. Says he works at the bank. But yeah, so trusting was a big one.
I'm glad. Let's pause for a second because I'm glad you brought that up. That too was another conversation. We always have a conversation chat. Because I saw this post, and I might do a show on it, but I saw this post about it was saying, you know, we asked somebody said, guys, it's not y'all, why don't you open up to your women? And they showed what different guys were posting as a response. And they was like saying the same thing you were saying. Oh, because you might use it against me. Oh, because you know you might look at me as weak. You might change your view of me, and all these different things. And so my thought on that is, okay, that's great. I get. I'm hearing what they're saying. I get what they're saying, but that ain't real vulnerability. Just like you were just saying, you give this mask of vulnerability. Look, vulnerability is you take that risk to show your real self. Like you said, you got to build that trust, and you will never trust anyone really until you're able to take that mask off. And despite what they're gonna say about you, despite how they're gonna view you, and it's hard, it's easier said than done. It's not something that you just gonna pick up overnight. It's gonna be little pieces of revelation. What I started to see through the guys' responses is that they were trying to control the outcome. They're like, I'm gonna tell you this. You better not say no. Don't flinch. Don't look. Don't blink your eye. Don't do nothing to make me feel bad. And it's like, baby, that ain't transparency. Then that's you trying to control things. Girl, the whole guy got all kind of upset when I posted that. He was like, I don't like this. You up here giving me from a female perspective. And I'm like, dude, I'm a dog. I'm true to this. Okay, I ain't come here to argue with you like y'all be doing on this interweb. I'm here to tell you the truth. And that's just not true transparency. You cannot, when you talk about you want to truly be known and loved and open and vulnerable, it's going to come with you. It's a risk to it. You can't remove the risk. You can't say, I will share if you promise you won't look at me crazy, talk to me funny. You can't control what they're going to do. That's where that self-awareness is. If you've done your work, it ain't too much they're going to be able to tell you about you that you don't already know. You know what I'm saying? Ain't too much they're going to be able to show that you ain't already seen. Because you like, this is just who I am. And once you get comfortable with that, you'll share with whoever. Let's talk about that, Corey, when you really got to be vulnerable.
Exactly. So I know you talked about like the risk. There's risk involved. Like you said, you can't take the risk.
You can't remove the risk, right?
But the reward is
Come
much.
On, that's it.
Because when you find a person, whether that's in a romantic relationship or platonic relationship, it doesn't matter. When
or
you
your daddy that you
vulnerable with, and they honor that and they hold that sacred, that is probably better than anything in the world.
Yeah.
Right now, like T, my boyfriend, there is nothing that I won't tell him. There's nothing I won't share with him. There's nothing I won't say to him, because he has shown me that, hey, you can be vulnerable with me and I'll hold that space for you. Mm-hmm. And you can trust me with this. And I'm going to honor you being vulnerable with me. I'm going to appreciate the fact that you're being vulnerable with me. And I'm going to see how I can help you in that space or what you need from me in that space. It is a beautiful thing. So if you can get past like the risk portion and understanding that there's always going to be risk, if you get that one person that shows you the reward behind it, oh man.
It was worth every time that you got humiliated, embarrassed, shamed, outed, whatever. It was worth every time if you shared that one time and you find that one person is like, I'm interested. Tell me more.
Absolutely.
Like you said, I'm holding this space for you. Let's talk about it, you know? Mm-hmm. Yes. Is there anything else that you feel like was or that's how it's shown up, that trauma and having it being able to love despite it, or be loved, receive the love despite other traumas that have come up? You said projection, you said manipulation. Anything else?
And me trusting what he has to say about me and about me.
About you. That's good.
In the past, I was always given all of these, like, I love you, like, I'll do anything for you, I want you to be my wife, you know, all this different stuff, right? These crazy dogs. And all this different stuff. And none of it was ever true. It all ended up being a lie at some point in time. Wow. Everything ended up being a lie at some point. And so that got me to a place to where I didn't trust anything that they had to say about me. I didn't trust men's perspective on me at all. Like, you could tell me anything, right? Like, I could You can tell me I'm beautiful. You can tell me that the sky's blue. Sir, it's probably out there purple. And you lie. You just lying. You just lying to lie. You just lying to lie. You don't think I'm pretty.
Yeah.
You just want to hook up with me. That's all you want, right? Like,
wow.
And so that was a big thing, because I could tell very early on that was the one thing he wanted me to believe, was how he felt about me. And that was probably one of the last things that kind of clicked for me. And that had a lot to do with trauma, because I was like, there's no way that he could care about someone who looks like me. There's no way that he could love somebody who is in a constant state of like anxiety. There's no way he could love someone who sees a therapist, weekly at this point, right? Like, there's no way he could care about somebody who's loud and who has, chronic medical conditions.
Who is you? Who's
me? Who's me? He could not love me. He could not care about me. So everything that comes out of his mouth is going to be a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. I don't know why he's still here, right? And that was one of the last things to click for me. And when it clicked, it just clicked.
And it freed you up to receive all that.
And I'm just like, well, Lord, I think this man loved me. Like,
he's only been telling me for a year now, but I can't believe him now.
Like, he done met my mama, and he ain't scared.
He met your daddy too, didn't he?
He flew all the way to Kansas to meet my father. Absolutely. And this is actually the first boyfriend that my father has ever met, which is really awesome. So I was like, okay, all right. So maybe this is what it is.
Yeah.
Maybe he is telling the truth about me. And and it was just really beautiful, because I had never experienced that before. I never experienced someone backing up their words, right? Like, I never experienced that. So now, if he tells me the sky's purple, I'm asking him, well, babe, what shade of purple is it? Is it lilac? Is it violet? What is it? Plum? Magenta? What shade is it, right? Because I believe everything that comes out of his mouth, because he hasn't shown me otherwise. And he's always backed up everything.
And if he ever were to show you otherwise, you ain't got to fall out of life's back door. You know that if you did it one time, you could do it again.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? It would hurt. It would whatever. And I'm not obviously I want y'all to just grow old and have all kind of babies. I'm coming to the wedding, me and Antonio. But I'm just saying, you can have what it takes to not have to go all the way back to that dark space where you were when you had your other breakups,
And I'm happy you brought that up. Oh my gosh, I'm happy you brought that up. And I think that's such a great thing to round this out with. I love my boyfriend, and I think the world of him. And like you said, I hope one day to grow very old with him, right? And I hope that this video ages very well, right? So we gonna hope, right?
Yes.
With that being said, if for whatever reason something, I would not be down and out for very long.
Right.
Like you said, it's not to say that it wouldn't hurt. It's not to say that I wouldn't
have to grieve.
Yeah. However, I would not be in the place that Corey was in 2017 when she's calling her mom from a hotel room in South Florida at 3 a.m. asking her, why am I still here? Because I am that broken. And I am that tormented by the fact that my ex is now living his best life, or what it seems to be his best life.
Right.
With this new relationship, treating her every single way I always thought I needed to be treated. And I'm sitting here wondering what the crap is wrong with me. Right. What's wrong with me? And me thinking that I will never get over this. Now,
that girl is gone.
There
is nothing that will bring her back, because you know better now. You know better.
Absolutely.
You knew better before you even met T. You knew better already. He came along and added to what you already knew.
Yep.
And now, and if anything ever happened, it's like I just go back to being that healthy me, having a good time, would miss him or whatever, but you can survive. Absolutely. And that's what I'm talking about, y'all. I think a lot of folks are resisting relationships or coming up with all these weird versions of relationship because they don't want to hurt anymore. They're tired of disappointment. They're tired of, giving it all and only for it not to be reciprocated. But y'all, there is a place that you can get to within yourself, that even if you get a great relationship and it ends, you're gonna be all right. And it ain't gonna be the all right, well, I can't stand here with all that. You'll be able to honor that relationship and all that it added to you. You'll be able to go into it, look back at it, and reflect on, wow, what did it do? Help me to develop and be better? And how did I deposit into that person's life? And then you can come out of it and be even a healthy person even after it.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to come out of it with any trauma. That's the beauty of it.
Exactly.
Like, that was something else that I had to figure out, was that, like, every relationship I leave does not have to leave a trail of carnage. That I have to right? Like,
correct.
I thought that was normal. I thought it was normal to carry these feelings of hate and, oh, I wish I could do something to his car. And
yeah.
Absolutely not.
It's like people be like, I'm tired of keying cars. Girl, you don't have to after every breakup.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, if anything, say something happens to you in a relationship that, yes, is traumatic. I'm not saying that traumatic things can't happen. It's how you respond to those traumatic things now that you have the tools to be able to get through them. And so that is the beauty of it. Because then you also are not going to stay in that place. You're going to date somebody else. And so you don't want to
move on. And you're probably going to move on quicker.
Exactly. And you don't want to take that trauma into your next relationship. So the beauty of knowing yourself, going through what you went through, all your trauma, fleshing it out. And I say that, flesh it out in a very safe place. If you can get a therapist, a counselor, something like that, flesh it out there, get through those traumas, work through them, live your best life. And then if something else traumatic happens, guess what? You now are able to work through those and you bounce back so much quicker. So much
quicker. I was looking at one of the other Ready women that's she was dating, and then she got into a relationship, and she quickly realized this is not for me. Mm-hmm. Whereas in the past, she would have tried to work it out and let me see. But no, she had got to the point where she knew who she was, what she wanted, and then she got out of that relationship, and in a short while, she mourned it, she grieved it, she went through her process or whatever, and she came back a couple months later, like, I met somebody, and I think he's awesome, And so I'm like, it don't have to be all this trauma and drama when you do your work. It just don't have to be. It don't have to be. I like how you said a trail of carnage. It don't have to be all that. You
ain't gotta do all that. You ain't gotta take all that with you.
And it's not and it don't have to be all that, not because you're not dating, not because you're not being vulnerable, not because you're not exposing yourself to receiving love. Because a lot of people think, oh yeah, of course it ain't gonna be all that, because ain't gonna nobody get close enough to do that to me. Exactly. But we're talking about letting yourself be vulnerable, letting yourself get into relationships, letting yourself laugh, cry, have fun, get disappointed, break up, and then letting yourself heal from that and then move on. Absolutely. Not, I'm not gonna do anything, and then so I'm safe. No, you're not safe. You're in prison.
Hello. Say it again, please.
You're not safe. You're in prison.
Absolutely.
Okay, to your past. So while you sit here thinking, I'm fine, I don't need this, they ain't gonna do that to me no more. They still doing it to you right now, because you are holding yourself back from the potential happiness you could have, because you're so concerned about the person who broke your heart before, or how that made you feel, instead of dealing with that so that you can move on and open yourself up. It's been a great conversation, Cora.
It has been a great conversation. And I would just like to say again that I never dreamed that I would be in this place in my life to where I could talk about something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I sincerely was in a prison and I felt trapped by my trauma for a very long time. And I used so many different things to cope, whether that was food, whether that was wine, whatever. Like, I used those things to cope. And now I'm in such a beautiful place to where now I can fully receive the love that my boyfriend has for me. Whereas before, I never could have received that. And now I receive it so wholeheartedly. Like, honestly, I know I talk about him often. If you guys follow me, you guys see that I talk about him often. But the reason I talk about him so much is because I absolutely appreciate the man that he is. And he deserves that recognition, because there are so many outlets that tell you that are sometimes very toxic, and they tell you that men aren't this and men aren't that. Trust me, there are some good ones out there. If you are in, heterosexual relationships or, whatever, like there are men out there for you. And it is just being your healthy enough self to see healthy men and to be able to attract healthy men. Because had I not become my healthiest self, I don't think I would have attracted such a healthy man in my life. And so I am just super thankful. Shanika says, hey, Shanika.
Yeah, someone else spoke to you earlier too.
Yeah. Hi, Saskia. So I'm just super thankful, one, for the opportunity to be able to speak on this, because this is something that has obviously weighed on my heart for a really long time, with women who come out of these relationships where literally it stole, and I'm not even saying took, it stole things from them. It stole their vulnerability. It stole their trust. It stole the ability for them to get close to people. And my heart breaks for them. And it breaks for people. It breaks for women who feel like they don't have another option. But you do. You do have another option. You can heal from that. And you can get into a beautiful relationship. And I'm walking proof of that. My boyfriend is great. And I thank him so much for him being so wonderful to allow me to speak on this. Like he is absolutely 100% on board with me being as open and transparent.
Right. Because some guys could get embarrassed about that. My girl. Yeah. But no. Yeah.
And he is. And so it's such a beautiful thing. And I'm just very thankful that you have this platform, Tracy. And I thank you for having me on. I'm just, just a little somebody just trying to tell anybody, that they can do it. So that's all.
That's so awesome. I'm so glad you were able to do this. I'm so glad you reached out to me, because y'all, this show wasn't finna happen. Chef, I told y'all everything we was up doing around here in California. Y'all be like, girl, you could have just put this show off. No, but I know that it's a test for me to be consistent. So I'm going to show up best I can every time. If this internet will connect even piece away, I'm going to show up. So I'm really glad that we did this. We had this conversation. I pray that it blesses somebody that watches it at some point, even if it ain't in the next, if it's 3-4 years from now and they just stumble across this on YouTube. I want this to be a blessing to them. And I know it will be, because you just have such a amazing story, Corey. You got your fans coming here. You have such an amazing story, and of how you can have love after the trauma, and how you can manage or deal with the trauma even once you find that love. How you don't have to go all the way back there. You can say, oh, let me catch myself. Only if you've done the work, though. So you're a wonderful example of that, Corey. I wish y'all nothing but the best. I cannot wait. I'm literally like waiting for the date. I'm looking at you. I'm gonna get on there. She'll be like, I said yes. That's what I'm waiting for.
Stop. See?
That's what I'm looking for. No pressure.
We're taking it a day at a time.
No, girl.
And I am so thankful. Like I said, I'm so thankful for him. And that is my hope and my dream and wish. Because like I told y'all, when I left that coffee shop with him, I called my dad and was like, I think I met my husband. And he said, well, hello to you too. So, so that's my hope, but obviously no pressure on his part. We are just
no pressure on him. I'm just gonna be looking forward. No pressure, but I'm just saying y'all so beautiful together. I just, I'm looking forward to it. So anyways, y'all listen, it's been great. Leave your comments over there if you got any questions for Corey. You can leave them in the commentary if she obviously won't be on here, but I'll make sure she sees it if you do have one, because it does something good to have somebody who can say, I've been exactly where you were, and now I'm here, and I didn't even think it was even possible. So just be mindful that it's possible. You're worthy of the possibility, and just take a bet on you. Get into some process, even if you don't do no soul detox. But I want you to. But even if you don't do, souldetox.net, go over there and get your consultation so we can go, But even if you don't, do something. Do something. It's just that this program has been designed to help you not just walk through that trauma, but then also how do you now apply it to dating? So that's kind of the difference in the two. That's where, we kind of do a little more than the typical therapist do. And by the way, I am a therapist. Marriage and family therapy. That's my thing. But I developed this specifically for single women because I wanted to, because it was my experience. I had to walk through it. And so as I was walking through it, I felt like God was telling me, look, take note, because I'm going to have you show this, walk other single women through it. So it ain't by chance or circumstance that you're watching this. It ain't by chance or circumstance that that you just so happen to pop up on her. I do believe everything happens for a divine reason. And if that is you, find you somebody that can help you walk through this process so that you can open yourself up again. And close with this. We always talk about we got to guard our heart. Got to guard my heart. Got to guard my heart. Got to guard my heart. Baby, guard your heart. Guarding your heart is not just you putting a jail cell around it, a wall around it, a fence around it so can't nobody get to it. Guarding your heart means tending to it, caring for it, nurturing it, healing it, letting it feel so that you can remain open to love. Like she said, if anything ever happened with her and her guy, if anything ever happened to me and my husband, I feel like, I can do the work to till my heart so it can be soft again and receive love all over again. Mm-hmm. That's what guarding your heart, guarding it from becoming hard, guarding it from becoming bitter, cold, angry, dismissive, attitudinal, whatever. Guard it from that. Guard it from that. That's what you guarding. It's not that you blocking it away. Is that you are figuring out ways to continuously open it. If you want to talk about scripture, that is a scripture that guards your heart. Mm-hmm. But it also says, another scripture says, he'll take your stony heart and turn it back into flesh. Meaning God's goal for your heart is for it to be soft and for it to be open and for it to be willing to give and receive love. Not for you to look at a certain gender and be like, I can't stand them. I hate them. They this, they that. He'll never get close to me. Ain't no man getting close to me no more. When I hear a woman say that, it breaks my heart because I'm like, she is not guarding her heart properly. Mm-hmm. She's missing out on something that probably God wants to give her, but she's so into her trauma she can't. So that's what I'm closing with. Guard your heart the right way. Okay, get it healed, get it healthy so they can be open. Y'all, till next, we went over our time so hard, but when it's good, it's good. So till next week, y'all stay in touch. Y'all go ahead and subscribe. I be forgetting to tell people subscribe to the channel, child. Subscribe to Soul Care for Single Black Women, y'all. And we'll see y'all next week for Soul Care Live. Talk to y'all later. Stay around, Corey. Stay for a second. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
And we're off.